Today we are doing the first auction mock draft of the season. It took a bit of wrangling to get enough guys into this draft. It's like I'm asking them to go on vacation for 4 weeks. It's probably going to be 2 hours. So if you're watching along, really appreciate it. But should be fun. Not a lot of data to work off here, but looking forward to what should be an interesting auction mock. Let's go balls deep.
I'm the type to get shit done. You the type to observe. March Madness on my speakers, but today's November 23rd. Got something loud in the blunt, yeah. I don't say what I want, yeah. Probably somewhere sunny getting tan. Foreign women in the sun, yeah. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. That's all that I need. Got my brothers with me. Got my brothers with me, and my mama's healthy. That's all that I need.
Welcome to the Balls Deep podcast, brought to you by Fantasy Basketball International. I am Adam King. Find me on Twitter at AdamKing91. Find us on Twitter at FBI Basketball, or the website fbibasketball.com. YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, wherever you consume us. We would really appreciate it. Like a thumbs up, a subscribe, a rate, all of that stuff. Joining me for this mock draft is Noah Rubin. Noah, it's been a while actually since we've done a show together. So how are things?
Things are good. Things have been busy. It's been a little bit since I've done a show. I think it's been about 2 weeks because I've been focusing a lot of my time working on the draft guide for Roto World, which is mostly done and should be slowly starting to get rolled out over the next week or two here. But yeah, now that that's kind of done, I think I'm planning to do more shows coming up, so that should be fun to get back into podcasting after a little 2-week break with pretty much only writing.
Yeah, it's sneaking up. Sorry, just as I posted on Twitter there, getting people in. It's sneaking up on us. It sort of felt like it was only a week or two ago, and we were saying, we've still got ages, but preseason is like 3 weeks away, less than 3 weeks away, I think. And then we'll start getting some hints and ideas about rotations and minutes and that sort of thing. And a lot of people's drafts will kick off probably from early October. It has snuck up on us. Looking forward. So this draft is starting. I'm going to just share my screen here. Let's do. I don't know. Do people need to see us? Look, we'll do it. We'll do it like that. And we'll see. So it is an auction draft. $200 per team. I'm just reading through the chat here, making sure because there's first time doing an auction. Can I borrow some chat? Yeah. All right. Oh, I've got the stupid sound going in my head, but when someone's nominated. So, all right, well, we've started. So Wemby is nominated. Let's see what he goes for. It's going up pretty quick. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to ask you to talk about strategy because some of these guys might be watching and they might be
it's a mock. I have no problem talking strategy. Not that I have one, but I have no problem talking about my thought process.
Actually, I'm just going to take this our logo off the screen there, just in case, so people can see. So Wemby still, Jesus, $85. Dan Titus. So Dan Titus is on a time.
92.
Yeah. Eric Ong has gone $92. Holy moly. Okay.
All right, Kingy, who should I nominate here?
So you're next. Okay, yep. So I'll let you do that, and I'll So Wemby, look, I guess I've got the Fantrax data, and the Basketball Monster data in front of me, and Wemby was projected to go at $60, and I knew he'd go for a lot more than that. $92, $93.
Give me Embiid for $1. Okay, I thought it was.
Okay. Yeah,
okay, I'll take it.
So are you? Because I know when I'm in an auction, I tend to nominate players that I don't want. Is that like so? Embiid, you nominated. Is he someone you wanted? I'm assuming you didn't because you didn't bid.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't anti-Embiid. I wasn't super interested in Embiid. I probably actually should have bid a little bit more because I feel like 41 is very good value to get Embiid. Actually, let me go ahead and throw that in on Halliburton. Yeah, considering Wemby went for in the 90s and Embiid went for 41, that was incredible value, and I should have pushed it a little bit higher. I might push Halliburton a little higher. Oops. All right. Well, I guess I won't. Cool.
Letting people know the standards. All right. So Embiid went for 41. Tyrese Halliburton just went for 42. That feels pretty good. It's normally you look at these top guys, and the last few years it's been Jokic has sort of been right up the top there with Shea to some degree, probably going at 70-ish, sometimes 80. We've got who else? So Jokic is up now. Jokic is sitting at 70, 72, 73, 75, 76.
Have fun, fellas.
Yeah,
have fun.
77, 80.
80.
So okay, so Titus, because he was bidding on Wemby as well. So there's I guess there's the two trains of thought. You're doing an auction draft. Do you do the stars and scrubs, where you just bid really high on 2 or 3 players and then just fill your roster with 1, 2 players?
Come on, Raph, do it.
Or do you go balanced? Raph and Titus are going back and forth here on Jokic, 83.
Dan, do it, Dan. All right, that's fine.
All right. All right, so Jokic goes for 83. That feels high to me too, but I mean, I don't know. What do you think about Wemby and Jokic going at 92 and 83?
I think the fact that Halliburton and Embiid went for 42 and 41, I think that obviously Wemby and Jokic are on another tier from them, but I think I don't know. I don't know if it's that much of a difference. I think I might try and bid that. I don't know if I'll go further. 32 on KD. Goodness, is that a lot? Is nobody else bidding on KD? Why is that? Now I feel like I made a bad bid. Okay, well, I got KD. Woo.
32 for Kevin Durant. Yeah, look, I think given I'm curious to see whether Jokic, Wemby, Shea will be interesting to see what he goes for. But because they're going for a little bit more, are we going to get a bit more value on that next tier of Halliburton? And let's see how much like Anthony Davis goes for, and Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, Trae Young, Jason Tatum. Are they all going to go for a little bit less than we've seen in the last few years? We've got Luka. Luka's at 51. Okay, so he's getting up there, 53. And I know in my tiers, in my rankings, I have Jokic and Wemby in my top tier, and then my next tier is Luka, Shea, and Anthony Davis. So yeah, I would assume they'd go for sort of in that 50 to 60, and Titus is at 62, 63. So there's a few people going hard here on these top tier players.
There we go.
I'm going to. I want to turn this stupid sound off. How do I turn it off?
Is it the top right, like that one, and then just general settings?
General settings, draft,
there you go.
Volume.
Boom.
Yeah. Okay.
I also think we had a request to move our faces out of the way. So
okay. Oh well, yeah, I will do that. I'm just going to make this screen a little bit. People don't want to see our faces, do they? There we go. That means we can not worry about our appearance. Yeah, Life of Cuz. Yeah, I'm just moving our faces off the screen. Not important. All right, now I need to actually watch the screen to know what's going on because I don't have someone yelling in my ear. So let's scroll down. Okay, so we've got so Luca went for 65, so 20 less than Jokic. That's a significant amount. Kawhi Leonard is now they want our faces. I don't know if I can move them around. Can I? I know I can move them.
There's this so the settings at the bottom, like the third one from the right, try that. You see what I'm saying?
That one?
That is probably our best bet.
Yeah, it makes the screen smaller though. I don't know. Let us know if that's okay, or does that make the draft screen too small? I don't know why you'd want to see our faces. There we go. Matty G just won Kawhi Leonard for 35. So what did you get Durant for?
32. So it makes me feel better. Makes me feel a little bit better.
Yeah. Okay. As I said, this is. I mean, people would have done auction drafts, obviously, but this is the first industry sort of big one. So we're sort of setting the marks here with bids. So Kawhi and Durant both going in the early to mid 30s is interesting. Josh Lloyd has nominated Tyrese Maxey. So based on what we've seen, he'll go for more. Well, yeah, okay. So you're up to 29.
If somebody outbids me, they outbid me. All right, I'm good. I'm out.
Yeah, okay. Because I guess if you sort of translate this into just rankings that we've seen, Kawhi is sort of in the third round or second round. Durant is mid-second round, I think he's been going. Maxey is a bit lower, but you got Durant for the same price as Maxey. So I think Durant for 32 is looking good.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. Obviously each auction draft is going to be very different, just based off, I guess, whatever happens first, just the market kind of being set for each individual draft.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think? Like, I guess in my mind, every time I'm like, okay, I'm going to just set a dollar amount for this player. If it goes over that amount, and obviously it just depends on the player, how I feel about them individually. So for Ant, I would probably say like 30. For this sake, I'll do 35 as my max. And if it goes over that, then I'll just be done. But if it's under that, then I'll keep bidding. I don't know. Do you think that's does that make sense as a strategy?
Yeah, I think so. I think I mean, I haven't done a ton of auction drafts and I usually let guys go early and bid, like get a lot of money off the board, because obviously the more money you can get off the board. So there goes Anthony Edwards for 33.
I was a fraud. I said 35 was my mark, and then I was like, I have to bid 34. I was like, I'm not feeling it anymore. So I let him go for 33.
And he's probably in that. If we move this over into typical rankings, Edwards is probably in that discussion with Kevin Durant and with Kawhi Leonard to some degree. Right. So it looks like that tier is going for the sort of early to mid 30s. And Maxey was sort of in there as well. So maybe that's a little bit of an overpay for Maxey, because I wouldn't have him in that tier with those guys just yet. So now we've got Paolo Banchero. I'm pretty high on him, but he's sort of he's below those guys, probably below Maxey, and Maxey went for, what did Maxey go for again? Let me scroll.
32.
So Maxey went for 32. So I would have Banchero probably going in, like 20, 22. Maybe up to 25. Josh has just bid 22.
Yeah, I think I'm going to let that go. My max was going to be 20 for Paolo right here. Not that that's the right max, but that's just kind of what I was going with. Okay,
so 22. Josh Lloyd gets him for 22. So, yeah, he's in probably that 50 range. So based on what we've seen, I would think Şengün here would go for maybe mid-20s, maybe up to 30.
I think my max will probably, I'm going to say 27 is going to be my max for Shingun.
And are you sort of coming into this, because auction's obviously a little bit different in terms of strategy with your build as well, because it is a lot. I find it a lot easier to build, do a punt build in auction drafts, because you can just target. You can basically walk into the draft with a list of 40 players and say, these are the guys I'm targeting, rather than going, oh, I hope this guy falls to me here and I'm going to have to pick between two players at this pick. You can just target your players. So would you come into a draft like this with a punt in mind, or would you sort of just see who falls to you in terms of value? Like you wouldn't have come in going, well, I'm targeting Kevin Durant. I'm going to get Kevin Durant. But now that you've got him, would you then go, okay, well, maybe I'm going to punt? Oh, I don't know. I mean, Durant's a tough one to punt around because he's pretty good at everything.
Yeah.
So would you just still hunt for value and then decide what your strategy is as you work through? Because unlike a snake draft, in an auction draft, you have time. You do have time to sit back and have a look and see what's going on.
It's such like a interesting thing, because you can come in with a plan, or maybe a plan and a backup plan, or if you are really, really invested, a third plan. But everything changes once players start getting bid on, because I mean, I don't remember if we were talking about it before, if this was after we started, but you were saying like, oh, like I think Wemby will probably go in like up to the 80s, and then he went for 92. So that changes everything. So maybe you came in with this idea that you were going to start with Wemby, and oh no, like 92 is way too high. So then obviously that changes everything when Embiid goes for 41. So I think you can come in with a plan, do a little bit, like a few bids, kind of see what the market is like, and then adapt your plan after that. Because like you said, like with KD, like I didn't come in with any sort of punt plan, because I was like, it's just a mock. It's my first auction mock of this cycle. So I'm not going to like focus on anything. I just kind of want to see how it goes. So I was like, okay, KD's a pretty good guy for that. And you're right. He's not a great player to punt around just because he's very strong with anything. So like if I wanted to punt, it would probably be based off my next couple of picks, not off of KD.
Yeah.
But that also impacts how I feel about, like, for example, Giannis, because KD is so strong at free throws. Like, obviously, you can still make a team work with KD and Giannis. Do not get me wrong. You can do that. But if I were to lean into a certain sort of build, I might say, I don't know if I want to spend, however much. How many did Giannis go? Giannis went for 49. So maybe I was like, I don't know if I want to spend more than 45 to get Giannis. But it just depends on how the market looks once you start the draft. So many factors.
Yeah, it is. And so you're nominating now, so I'll let you come up with someone. So I'll just recap a couple of the picks that have gone. So Şengün went for 28, which is about what I said. I think I said sort of mid-20s to around 30. Giannis went for 49. So he went for more. Halliburton went for 42. I've sort of got them in a similar tier, so a bit of a difference there. Anthony Davis went for 60. Jokic. So what did Luka was 65. Davis 60. So we've got based on what we've seen, there's a pretty significant drop from that top tier of Wemby and Jokic to the next tier. So we haven't had Shea yet. So it'll be interesting to see if he goes for that in that 60 range with Luka and Anthony Davis. Josh has gone for Paolo and Şengün, so he's going with a punt free throw build, I would say. As is Dan Titus, he's got Luka and Giannis. You're still sitting on Durant as your only guy, and you've just nominated Trae Young. So
I nominated Paul George, and then Trae Young was the next nomination after me.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Just didn't want to miss that. No, you're good.
Yep, Paul George went for 30. Look, that feels like okay. It's maybe a bit of an overpay. Edwards went for 33. Trae Young went for 37. So again, I'd have him. feel like, yeah, okay. Trey for 37. Oh, here goes Shea. So let's see.
Yeah, Scott, use your money.
Yeah,
Nice.
we do. I mean, we do want to get, as we know, we want to get money off the board here. So if I just work my way across, Puppy Roy is yet to get a player, so he still has his full 200. You have 168. Scott Keller has 200. Raf has 85 left, so he has Maxi and Jokic on his team. Kyle McEwen has 159. DMAC has gone very top heavy here. He only has $61 left. He's got Tyrese Halliburton, Trey Young, and Anthony Davis, which honestly, that's a pretty good start to a team. That's 3 potential first rounders. Dan Titus has 86. He's gone Giannis and Luka. Josh has 150. So Yardship is from our Discord community. 137 left. Adam Stock still has his full 200. Eric Ong has 108, and Matty G from Insight has 165. So who we're bidding? We're still on Shea, are we? Yeah, we're still going on Shea.
It's been fun. It's going up $1 at a time.
Okay, so he went for exactly the same as Luka. So we've got that top tier in the 8. I think 90. The whole Wemby thing. And if you are in an auction draft, maybe that's a strategy to get a lot of money off the board. Is nominate Jokic first, because people are very excited. We're in an auction draft. And they overpay, because if you look at this, Wemby probably should have gone for closer to 80 than 90. So get money off the board. So we've got that first tier, that second tier, and then the third tier, the Trey Young, Tyrese Halliburton, that sort of tier is looking like it's sort of in the around 40. We've got Lowry Markkanen now sitting at 24. So I think there's probably going to be, with some of that money going off the board early, we're going to find that there's a lot of guys going for between 20 and 30, and you might actually find some value here. So Lowry Markkanen goes to Scott Keller for 25, which I think is probably a decent price.
Yeah, 25 was my max that I set in my head. And then he went right for that, because I was debating being the person to bid 25, and then I wasn't loving it. But no, I think 25 is totally fine.
And I think, again, strategy and everything with auctions is interesting, because as you punt, and I mean this is the same in snake drafts, but as you build your team, the price value in your head can potentially change. So you could go into a draft thinking someone like, I don't know. Who could we? I don't know. De'Aaron Fox is like maybe a $28 player, but you might end up drafting sort of Anthony Davis and I don't know, Jaren Jackson or something with your first 2 picks, and then you go, okay, well, I'm maybe going to be punting assists here and points, and so Fox really has no value or less value to you. So you're not going to pay that much for him. If he falls and you get him for $20, you might take him. But values do change. So Jason Tatum.
That's great value for Raf.
Yeah. You were at 40. Were you tempted to go to 42?
I was, and I don't know why I didn't. I was just kind of like, I don't know. I feel like it ends up being good value. Like, it was cheaper than Giannis, Anthony Davis, same price as Embiid. Like, a little bit more than Trey Young, less than Halliburton. Like, that's about where he would be drafted in, like, in just like a snake draft. So I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it's fine. I think he's in that tier, as I said, that Trey Young, Halliburton tier, which is looking like it's sort of top end is 40, bottom end is probably mid 30s, and he went towards that top end, and that's where he's going. He's going at sort of pick 7 in drafts, pick 8, that sort of range. LeBron's an interesting one, because per game, we know he's still very good, but there's going to be some missed games. There's going to be a bit of load management. He goes for 28. So I'm just having a look at who we can sort of compare him. Who else? So Şengün went for 28. So who would you rather, LeBron or Şengün?
Probably Şengün. I'm a little bit lower on LeBron this year, and it's not because I think he's lost a step by any means. I think it's just having JJ Redick in there. I fully expect them to, like you said, manage his games, manage his usage, manage his minutes. Like I could fully see them just saying, yeah, like I think LeBron played it was over 35 minutes a game last year. Like why would they do that? Like let's just play him 31, 32 and let's have this, player be fresh for the playoffs because having LeBron healthy for the playoffs, it gives them a much better chance than if he's exhausted. And he's LeBron, so maybe he can do both and be fine. But I think that they'll try and be a little smarter.
But if you remember back to last season, they first game or the second game of the season, they came out and they said specifically, we are not playing LeBron more than 30 minutes a game. We really want to manage him. And I think the next sort of 5 games he played 38 minutes or something.
I think Darvin Ham said a lot. But I think,
he did.
I expect JJ Redick to take a smarter approach to it.
Yep. Okay, so we had DeAndre Ayton went for $10. I mean, I don't like Ayton, but I think that's pretty good value for a potential top 50 player to get him for $10. I mean, if you who else have we got? Banchero. I mean, I prefer Banchero over DeAndre Ayton, but he went for double that price.
Yeah.
We haven't really had everyone that's gone is basically top 30 at the moment. So we don't have a lot to compare Ayton to. Towns is on the board now. Sort of the forgotten man of fantasy, Karl Anthony Towns a bit. 3-4 years ago, he was a first rounder and in that discussion as a top 3. And he's just obviously the addition of Rudy Gobert and the ascension of Anthony Edwards has resulted in Towns sort of just falling back into the pack. And he goes for $24. That feels pretty good. I mean, Markkanen, I'd probably have them in a similar range. Markkanen went for 25. I still like Towns. I mean, I think he still has a really fantasy-friendly game. Just doesn't score the ball as much as he used to, but or get those rebounds. But I think he's still a good value at 24. All right, James Harden is up. You were bidding and you've now stopped. So he's up to 34. He's probably one of those guys at this point whose ADP has shifted the most in fantasy. His ADP, I feel like when we did our first mock, was probably in the 20s, mid to late 20s, and now he's sort of in that discussion as a borderline first rounder, and he goes for $35, which is almost the same as Trae Young. So do you think he can get back to being that top 15, top 10 James Harden?
I think if he does, it's not going to look the same as what it did when he actually was like a very consistent, like one of, if not the best player in fantasy basketball for a number of years. It's going to look different because he's just not the same player. He's older. He's not as good as he was. The usage is going to be great, I think. But he is older. So does that mean if they try and give him the same usage that he used to, his body isn't going to hold up and like he might have to miss more time? I don't know. I really do think it's a great opportunity for him, but I feel like the way his ADP is going, it might be a little bit too high for me. And that's kind of why I got out of the bidding for him this time, because I was like, I think 30 in my mind. I don't remember if I said 25 or 30 was going to be the max. I think it was 30. So once I got past that, I was like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. I don't quite have him up there with Trae Young yet. So I would have thought, I would have thought of had him in that 30 range. So he went for 35. So maybe slightly higher, but I mean, we know what he can do. He could lead the league in assists. I think it'll be him, Trae, or Halliburton. They'll be the 3 that will be up there. Jaren Jackson went for 25. That feels about right. He's in that Markkanen range now. LeBron James. LaMelo Ball.
What's happening here?
Everyone knows my thoughts on LaMelo Ball. He's gone for 39. So he's gone in that Halliburton tier. Sort of that third tier, which I absolutely love him in that tier, but there's that injury risk, the concern. But yeah, I think he is probably another player who people are starting to lean into a little bit more. There was a lot of hesitation, I think, drafting him early. I was getting him in the third round in some drafts, and now you have to take him in the second round if you want him. He's back into that top 15 range, top 17. Here is De'Aaron Fox, who I said, what did I say? He's probably a $30 player, maybe 25 to 30. You've bid on him at. Oh, there goes Dan Titus. Who invited Dan Titus? He keeps outbidding you. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, who invited this guy?
Yeah. 26. Oh, Josh Lloyd. What are you doing, Josh Lloyd? So I'll let you keep bidding here, and I'll just run through the money.
Let me keep making frustrating noises. Sorry.
Yeah, you do that. No, that's okay. That's part of an auction. Trust me, I've done some live auctions with people in the room, and yeah, it's the language is colourful to say the least. So Puppy Roy still has his 200 left. You have 168. Scott Keller 175. Raf 44. So we're not going to see a lot from Raf, I don't think, for a little bit because he still has 10 players to get. So Raf has Maxey, Tatum, and Jokic. Kyle has 134. DMAC has 61. So he still has those three players that we talked about. Dan Titus has 60.
My turn to nominate. I wouldn't pay attention.
Oh, yeah. Just nominate anyone. Josh Lloyd has 86. Yardship has 137. Adam Stock 111. Eric 98. And Matty G 126. So Josh's team. Yeah, so if we're looking at different strategies, like I said, Dan Titus has gone pretty top heavy with Luka, Giannis, and LeBron James, as has Raf with Maxey, Tatum, and Jokic. Who took Wemby? So Eric has Wemby and Ayton. That's it. So two centers. Whereas Josh has gone for more of that sort of that third tier. He's just targeting players there. He's not really going after the first rounders. So he's gone Harden, De'Aaron Fox, Paolo Banchero, and Şengün, all in the sort of mid-20s to mid-30s range. So different strategy there. And you probably still don't have a strategy. You've still only got Kevin Durant. So, there's money coming off the board. Gee, Dan Titus just took someone. I just took Steph Curry for 37. That it's okay. It's okay. And as I said, Dan Titus is on a time limit. He has to be out by a certain time. So I'm not surprised that he is just trying to get money off the board early and fill his roster. He'll probably then just grab a lot of $1 guys at the end. Sabonis went for 27 to you. That feels great.
I'm pretty happy with that just based on some of the pricing from some other guys. I mean,
Yep.
I guess now I got to kind of lean into a well-rounded without many defensive stats kind of build.
Yeah,
I don't know if I have to really punt anything yet, but
no, maybe punt blocks. KD's not a big blocks guy. Sabonis doesn't get blocks. And you've just picked up Lillard for 26.
I kind of stopped paying attention because I thought other people were bidding. Cool.
That feels, I would punt blocks now because, but Lillard, look, Sabonis, I mean, he's in that Trae Young tier, that third, fourth tier, and you got him for 27. I think that's a good price. And Lillard for 26. That feels safe. Like, feels pretty safe. I think Lillard is who he is. Last year was probably worst case for Lillard. Like, I think he'll be as good, if not slightly better this year. So you've sort of gone very similar, whether on purpose or not, very similar in terms of your strategy to Josh. So going for those sort of third and fourth tier players rather than your Wemby and your Tatum and Halliburton. Brunson goes for 27. So Lillard, Brunson, who would you rather?
Lillard, easily. So I'm pretty happy
happy
about
that.
But Raph had to pay his little New York tax in order to get his Nick.
Yeah, he did. I'd have them pretty similar. Scotty Barnes, this is an interesting one because Barnes is a very, very good roto guy because he's just good across the board. So this feels like maybe a Josh Lloyd kind of guy. He's up to 27. You know what? I'm going to pull up my tiers and stuff like that because then I can actually. I don't want that. I want fantasy. Fantasy Basketball International. Okay, so let's. I visit that site often, apparently. All right, so looking at my tiers here, so I have Sabonis in that tier with Durant, with Harden, with Trae Young. The only one who hasn't been drafted yet, who I have in that tier, is Donovan Mitchell. So I would assume
to come up.
He will go for around 30, then maybe low 30s. But I mean, based purely on that, I think Sabonis was really good value. I think Durant was fine. LaMelo, maybe an overpay, but I had Scotty. So Scotty ended up going for what, 35? Puppy Roy's first player. Scotty Barnes for 35. Yeah, it's all right. It might be slight overpay for me, but all right. Pascal Siakam. So you're in on the bidding here.
Well, yeah, because just because Josh was about to get him for 14, I was like, I can't let him go for that cheap.
No, I think he's probably a $20.
That was what I had in my head.
Actually, I should refer back to these Basketball Monster ones just because, that is what we have as some data. So according to Basketball Monster, Siakam is an $18 player, and you got him for 19. So you overpaid, overpaid by $1. No, I think 19 for Siakam is good. Again, pretty durable. He's gonna be option A in terms of offense. So I think he'll have a good year this year. There's certainly good opportunity for him in Indiana. CJ McCollum. Okay, so this is sort of the first guy that we're looking at who's, I don't know, outside the top 70, top 80. $8.
I don't even know what to make of CJ McCollum with. I mean, right now he's at $10, same price as Ayton. Like, I guess the other thing is really, what do we make of the Pelicans? We did a column for Roto World where we had to do like one preseason question we have to have answered before, like, or it would be nice to have answered as we get into draft season. I was like, literally, what are the Pelicans doing? Because I mean, between DeJounte, CJ McCollum, Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, Brandon Ingram, and Zion, they have 6 starters, and that's not including a starting center. Yeah. So I'm like, can't imagine CJ McCollum's coming off the bench, but with what they have, I think it would make more sense to start DeJounte, Herb Jones, Brandon Ingram, and Zion. But like, I don't think that they're taking CJ McCollum off the bench. So like, does that mean Herb Jones and Trey Murphy are coming off the bench? I don't know. It's they need to figure it out. They need to make a move to make things easier on us. Like that's what they need to prioritize. Not building their team. They need to make a trade.
They do. Yeah,
For us.
I don't know. I mean, I would like CJ to come off the bench. I think he could be a really impactful sixth man. It's just whether he wants to step into that role after being a starter for so long.
Exactly.
Because he was a sixth man way back when in Portland when he had that breakout. But since then, he's been a regular starter. So it would be a shift. So it's whether he's willing to sort of make that change for the team. So CJ went for 10. Keegan Murray went for 9. So we've seen a lot of money go off the board with these top end guys, and now we're starting to get some value guys. Cade Cunningham, 24. So what does Basketball Monster have him as? Cade has him as a $20 player, but yeah, I think he's better than that. I think he's probably a 25, which is what you got him for. So I think that's fine.
I feel good about that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I've got him in my tiers, that sort of thing. I've got him in there with Lowry, Markkanen, Jaren Jackson, Evan Mobley. So they all went for what 20? I think. Şengün went for 27 or something. Jaren Jackson 25, Markkanen 25. So that's about right for me. Kyrie, he's an interesting one because I think what have they got him? So Kyrie, they've got Basketball Monsters got him as a $37 player, but he's not going to go for 37. I don't think.
Oh shoot.
Maybe. I mean, you've bid 32. That's where I'd have him around 30.
Well, I thought it was going up one at a time. Then all of a sudden, Matty G bid an extra $4 and really bumped it up. So I'm going to let that go because I thought I was going to bid for like 28 or 29.
Yeah, and I would take him for that. But 33.
I think that's
33. Fine. Look, it's not terrible. It sort of depends on how much he plays. They don't have a good playoff schedule, which is something to consider. But per game, he's up in that sort of tier, I think, with Devin Booker, Scotty Barnes, that sort of range. So I think price-wise, that's not too bad. Here's Donovan Mitchell, and he's the last one that I had, as I said, in that Trae Young, Steph Curry, Sabonis tier, which would put him at the mid-30s. So you've got him at 27 at the moment.
Might go a little hard for Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah. Are you sort of? I mean, watching the bidding here. I'm assuming you're not. I'll let you finish this one first.
No, you're good.
So he's up to 36. Yeah, I wouldn't.
I want to so bad.
Yeah, it's tempting. Yeah, I wouldn't go this high. He's at 38 now, which is almost putting him up in that third tier of mine with Halliburton, Giannis, and I just don't have him there. I feel like Garland's going to have a better year. Mobley is getting better. So, I mean, Mitchell's still going to be really good. I'm just not sure he can be better than last season. And this is putting him more than Trae, more than Steph.
I mean, I might have him either comparable or I don't want to say exactly like definitely higher, but I think he's very comparable. I mean, he was the first top 10 guy last year. I think he finished like 7th or 8th in per game.
Yeah.
I mean, even if Garland's better, I just assume that he's still going to be really good.
I think he will.
I like Donovan Mitchell, but
yeah,
you also have Devin Booker still on the board, and Donovan Mitchell isn't significantly better than Devin Booker. So if I can get Devin Booker at better value, I'll be pretty happy.
Yeah, and look, maybe that could be something when you're doing an auction as well, is have a look at guys. As you said, Mitchell goes off the board. Well, okay, who is similar to him, and can I get them cheaper now that these top end? So, yeah, if you can get Booker for, I don't know, 30, then that's totally fine. Here's Jalen Johnson, someone who's sort of hard to project. He goes for 24. So... Yeah, look, that probably feels about right. Just looking at my tiers. Yeah, I have him in there with Lowry and Cade and those guys. So, yeah, that's about right. I'll be interested to see. There's a few names I'm curious to see what they go for. Emmanuel Quickly is one of them. When he comes up. Booker, Chet Holmgren. Oh, he's on the board now. Okay.
Yeah. Oof.
Yeah, Holmgren is sort of top 20, maybe top 15. What did Edwards? Edwards went for 33, so I'd have him in that range. So he's at 34. Basketball Monster has Chet at 31. So 36. He's still got that sort of that new car shine to him, Chet. After last year, he played every game. He was better than I think most of us expected him to be. So he's sort of got that new toy kind of thing where he'll probably go slightly over what he should. He's Booker. So, yeah, what I was going to say before is there are also two, I guess, methods to bidding. How do you bid? Do you wait until there's sort of 2 seconds left to bid, or do you just bid straight away? Because obviously if you bid straight away, it's going to give everyone else the feeling, or they're going to think that you really want this guy and you're just going to go after him. So I need to be aggressive with my bidding, which might bid people up. There is a risk that if you wait, and this has happened to me, if you wait till there's 2 or 3 seconds left and for some reason your internet just has a small glitch and you hit bid and it might not actually log the bid for you. So, but you're obviously just bidding pretty quickly.
I don't know why I do that, but I guess it's like, okay, there's 20 seconds. Like, what if everybody stops looking at the computer for 20 seconds and I get somebody for $2 kind of thing?
Yeah.
Because by the time it gets down to 5 seconds, if people are paying attention, like, no, they're going to bid more than $2. But I'll just go ahead and get my name on there. And I don't know, maybe it does start to push up the price a little bit earlier. Makes maybe people are like, oh shit, if I want to get this guy, I really have to make sure I'm bidding high. I got to make sure I get my guy. And
there's usually, from what I've seen the last couple of years in auctions, there's usually at least one guy who slips through, like people don't notice him and he goes for way less than he should. There's usually one player and you go, oh my God, what a bargain. And I haven't seen that yet, which means everyone's paying attention. That's a good thing. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see if there is one guy that someone nominates and it just happens that everyone at the same time gets a message on their phone or something, so they get distracted. Maybe that's it. If you can get the mobile phone numbers of all the people in your draft, just send a text message at the same time to everyone, so they all have to check their phone.
There you go.
While you bid on someone. So Devin Booker went for 37. We talked about him in relation to Donovan Mitchell and maybe getting Booker at 30, and you were in there at 32, but 37 sort of brings him up pretty close to Donovan Mitchell. So I'm assuming you just felt that was too high as well.
Yeah, I think just also another factor is that I have spent a good bit of my money to this point. And now we'll talk about it, I guess, here in a second, but I had a Ja Morant at 22.
Yep.
So I think I just didn't want to spend 37 or whatever over 35 at this point, because I mean, there is still some very good players left that haven't been nominated. So whoever has been saving their money is probably going to end up getting some players at good value. But I guess there's a couple people that have been good about saving their money. So maybe they won't get quite as good of value, but I did want to get Ja because I feel like my punt build is going to be just no defensive stats or like
punt defense. Yeah.
Yes. That's what I do when I play. So I just figured I would do it with fantasy as well.
Yeah, look, I think, having a look at your roster. So, you did get Ja for 22, which to me feels fine. Like, I think that's a good price for him. But, yes, you're probably punting defense, and maybe, I don't know, your threes probably aren't great with Siakam, Sabonis. Oh, yeah.
Can we just convert the scoring to a points league, please? Like, I think that'll work really well.
Yeah, points league would work well for you. But you're still sort of going with that theory of just targeting those third, fourth tier players. So we've got some bidding going on here. So DeMar DeRozan went for 19, which I think that's probably good value, actually. I'm not a DeRozan sort of guy. I don't typically draft him, but I mean, Basketball Monster has him as a $21 player. I think he's still going to have a really good role in Sacramento. So that feels all right. DeJounte goes for 26. Let's have a look. So according to Basketball Monster, small overpay, but I have DeJounte in that same tier as Markkanen and Cade, that sort of thing. He went 26, so I feel like that's okay for DeJounte.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty good. I think I was for a second, just because it looked like it was going to be cheap.
Yeah, you are right though. There's a few names, like I'm just scrolling through who's left here. There's still quite a lot left on the board. And we've got, so Puppy Roy has 139, Scott Keller has 146, Kyle 110, Yardship 100, Adam Stock 102. So we've still got a few players or a few managers here with money to burn. So they might get some good value here on some of these middle sort of top 50 through to top 80 players. Drew Holiday went for $7 to you.
Yeah.
Which I
was
think...
not planning to get him.
No. Oh, why am I searching your name in Basketball Monster? So Drew Holiday...
What, my NCAT numbers? Are they any good?
Yeah, you're off the charts. Drew Holiday in Basketball Monster is $14. So, I mean, if you base him on that. But we know exactly who Drew Holiday is. He's sort of... doesn't go against your build, but he will get you some steals. So
yeah, I'm thinking maybe it's more of like a punt blocks kind of thing. Maybe punt blocks, punt threes. I feel like the steals will be decent. Like I think all of those guys average one. I mean, like this is. I don't even want to say that. Never mind. I'm not going to say that because I have no numbers in front of me to verify that at
all. Actually, I wonder if I can. Let me have a look.
I guess while people are bidding on Miles Bridges, I'll check to see if everybody averages steal per game.
Sabonis
so was a 0.9.
I can actually.
Dame was 1. So
draft tracker here. So actually, now let's bring up your team.
Siakam was 0.8.
All right. So according to the draft tracker, if we just look at strengths and weaknesses for you, rebounds are good. See, I mean, it's saying your blocks are pretty good, but
I feel like it's a bunch of guys that average less than a block per game, but more than half a block per game. Yeah,
I'm not sure. Oh, I mean, draft tracker in an auction is tough because it can't compare you to other teams because you might have 3 players and another team might have 8. So it won't.
I do have the most players out of anybody in the draft so far, so that definitely
if it's looking at volume, that sort of thing. But I mean, if I just look at your team build, it's saying that you are good in points, rebounds, assists.
Yeah.
Percentages are pretty good. So both percentages are decent.
Interesting.
Punting blocks, turnovers are terrible, but I mean that's part of that is just because you have so many players on your team as well. So yeah, I would. And steals are sort of a lot of guys who will get you one. Basically, everyone on your team is one.
That's what I was gonna say, because I think my lowest is Siakam at 0.8 or something. So it's kind of
And look, I mean, there's a world where Ja Morant gets up to 1.2. Drew Holiday could get back to 1.2.
Yeah.
So I think steals is probably a category that, depending on who you target with your next pick or next few picks. Let's go back and look at some picks here because a bit has happened. So Brandon Ingram went for $12. Miles Bridges went for $13. I think that's pretty good value for Miles Bridges. Quickly went for $20.
I think that was pretty good.
I think so. So quickly, 22 in Basketball Monster. So that's good. So, I mean, hang on, let me refresh. So the top players left in terms of monetary value, according to Basketball Monster, Fred VanVleet is still there, Evan Mobley, Jimmy Butler, Derek White, Desmond Bain, Franz Wagner, Bam Adebayo, few centers floating around. So Bam is there, Evan Mobley, Mark Williams, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jarrett Allen, Miles Turner. Zion hasn't gone yet. Jalen Williams goes for 23. Mobley goes for 29.
I think that's the interesting thing about auction drafts is that, like, Mobley just went for 29, and it's like, oh wow, he went for more than a handful of players that are probably better than him. But it's just about the timing of when certain players are drafted. Like, a lot of people have a good bit of money left, and they're like, I don't want to just save it to not spend it on anybody. So maybe I'll overpay a little bit more now if everybody's conservative at the beginning. So it's entirely dependent on, like, every individual draft is going to be so different. It's just so crazy.
It will. Yeah, and that's why, because I guess coming into an auction draft, when you look at draft order, it doesn't matter because whether you're just nominating, it's not a snake. But who you nominate can have an impact. Because if Mobley had been nominated like 20 picks ago, his value might have been completely different. But he goes for 29. He goes to Puppy Roy, who didn't have a center. He had Scotty Barnes and DeJounte Murray. So he's just sort of thought, well, I need to get a good center. And as I said, there are a lot of centers left on the board, but they're not potentially as good. I mean, Bam, I guess you could have in that discussion with Evan Mobley, but a lot of them are probably a tier or two down. So you just got Jaylen Brown for 21.
Yeah, I didn't love the value, but it was sitting there. I think Josh was about to get him for 20, and I was like, I think I can either get his price up or I'm fine getting him at 21. I don't love it, but I'm not pissed.
Yeah, I think it's okay. You've got where are you? So you've got $21 left and 5 players. So you're probably going to be targeting some sort of guys. The most you would probably bid the most you can bid is 17. And we are, so the settings are 13 roster spots, 10 active, 3 bench. So you've got 5 left. So you've got 8. And your bench guys are potentially going to be just $1 guys. So you probably could go with a couple of $8 or $8 players,
That's
something
true.
like that. And then just get 3 $1 guys at the end. There's always some nice $1 players at the end.
Yeah.
He goes Fred VanVleet. So he's probably the last of the sort of elite guys with top 20 upside, which would have him Basketball Monster 34. Where do I have him in? I have him in the tier with Lillard and Fox, Paul George, LeBron James. So I would say mid-20s. He's up to 28. Because what did you pay for? You got Lillard for 26.
But it's all just dependent on when a player is nominated. Like,
yeah,
but a different draft, maybe people are more aggressive at the beginning, and Dame is way more, and then there's less money left, so Fred VanVleet goes cheaper. But in this draft, I think quite a few people were outside of, maybe it was the fact that Wemby went for 90 that scared everybody. Like, okay, like let's not actually spend that much anymore. And everybody was, maybe a couple of these guys went for a little bit less than maybe they quote unquote should have gone, but that's just the way that it went.
So Billy Goat Bar here, Mobley, a 4th rounder. Probably 3rd round upside, but certainly, he's not in that Sabonis tier, and he went for more than Sabonis. So that should make you feel really good about your Sabonis pick.
Yeah, except now I'm about to get Jonathan Isaac for $2. So I guess Raph was probably doing that just to get him for $1. Oh man, he knew. Oh, he's sad.
I don't know. We'll talk about Isaac then. $2, who cares? But do you think he can have a good season?
I'm sorry. Now I'm just wondering why Raph knew I would do that, because I'm like, I did have him as a sleeper on our draft guide, so maybe that's why. But also, every single time someone's been nominated, I think you pointed it out, I have immediately bid $2. So maybe that's why he got me. But no, I do have Isaac as one of my sleepers this year, just because he was finally healthy a little bit last year in limited minutes and was incredibly impactful. And I just kind of think that, they started him for a little bit in the playoffs. It didn't work great. But I think that they value him a lot. If they can get him on the floor for 20 minutes, that'll help both of my defensive numbers, and they're both pretty weak so far. So no, I'm fine with $2. I was kind of hoping that somebody else would bid, and then I was like, wait a minute, it's Jonathan Isaac. I don't think anybody else is gonna bid. But Raph got me. Oh well. Oh well.
And like it is, $2, who cares? Jordan Poole goes for Van Fleet went for 31, so that's all right. That's okay. I'd have him in there with Lillard. You got Lillard a little bit cheaper. Went for the same price as Maxey. I think they're probably pretty close, yeah. Jordan Poole went for 11. Cam Thomas is another guy. Let's see what he goes for this season. If Jordan Poole went for 11, I would assume Cam Thomas will go for more, maybe 13 or 14, but he is one of those hype kind of guys, so people might overpay slightly to get him. And there is still quite a lot left on the board. Just scrolling through this, there's still quite a few names there. So Julius Randle is now on the board, or has been nominated. $6. Randle. Where do you think Randle? He's a tricky one, Randle, because I thought the Knicks looked so good without him. But he's a good player. So do you think he comes in and they're not their direction necessarily, but their build and their structures changed quite a bit down the stretch last season with the addition of OG Anunoby and now Mikal Bridges. So will Randle sort of come in and be willing to make some sacrifices for the better of the team, or is he just going to be Julius Randle? And as we know, he's a bit of a black hole on offense when he gets the ball. So, where does he fit this year? I don't know. That's a tough one.
I feel like I saw a quote where he said that he'd be willing to do anything to help the team win. Let me see. I'll see if I can find it. But
okay. Well, he went for 13, and I think for 13, that's probably you hedge your bets either way there, because he could be top 50, but he could be top 90. He's one of those players where his ceiling and his floor are quite far apart, depending on which version of him we get and what his role looks like.
Let me, if you don't mind, just the quotes from SNY's Ian Begley. that he'll accept any role that's asked of him. He's looking forward to being back healthy with this group and thinks things can be special with Bridges. He wants to win and win in New York. So how does that impact what he does out there? I think if anything actually changes, it could just be a quote that like, yeah, sure. Like mentally in his mind, I'll do whatever it takes. But then he actually gets on the court and he just continues to play the same way. If that's just what happens, that's just what happens. But I think we'll just have to kind of see. I mean, maybe he dials back a few shot attempts, improves his efficiency a little bit, maybe ups the defensive and rebounding numbers just a skosh, but I don't think anything changes dramatically.
Yeah. Brandon Miller went after him, went for 11. Yeah, see, so that's pretty close. So Randall went for 13, Brandon Miller went for 11. I'd rather Brandon Miller personally, just because I think he has a bit more upside and his role in Charlotte is pretty defined now at this point. So yeah, I like Miller there. Zion now nominated. He's at 14. And he's one of these guys whose value can be very dependent on what your build is, because if you're punting points and field goal percentage, he has zero value. But yeah, if you're targeting those categories or you're just looking for someone to boost certain categories and you can absorb it for a free throw hit, Josh is at 18, Puppy Roy at 19. What do we have him at? Basketball Monster has him as 17. Most players seem to be going slightly above what Basketball Monster has, so he's at 20 now. 21. I'll run through the money just so we can see who's got what left. So Puppy Roy, who's bidding here, he might be about to get him. He does. So Puppy Roy got Zion for 21. So he now has $89 left. You have $19. Scott Keller still has $112. So he is going to have to start filling his roster here a bit. Raf has 17. Kyle, 87. D-Mac, 61. Dan Titus. Yeah, see, Titus hasn't landed a player for about 40 minutes. Josh has 73. Yardship, 63. Adam Stock, 64. Eric, 62. And Matty G, 32. But if we look at, who can spend the most money? Yeah, so your highest bid is 16. Raf is 9. Titus 15, and then the rest sort of 50. Yeah, so I mean we've still got a few guys here on the board that could make some significant bids. You are not one of them.
No, I'm not. But that's honestly like I have 4 spots left. Like I have 9 guys drafted, so I'm not that upset that I don't have much money left because I still can get like a solid guy. Like I could have gotten D'Angelo Russell there. Like I'd rather spend my $16 of spending power elsewhere. But I'm not totally locked up. Like I don't know. Like because you brought up Dan because he did get a couple of big money guys at the beginning, but now I have an extra dollar than him, and he has to fill 5 more spots. Like, yeah, he can still spend $15, but then he's going to get 8 $1 guys at the end. So he might want to try and get some $3 guys. So we'll see how he plays it.
He's sort of Dan is sort of the epitome of that stars scrubs mentality where he's just gone hard for 4 players, and then he's just going to fill the rest of his roster. And the benefit to that is that, yes, you have 4 guys that could LeBron probably can't be a first rounder totals, but maybe 4 guys that can be top 15 players, but you need them all to stay healthy. I mean, you lose LeBron for 30 games and Luka tears a hamstring and misses 2 months or something, you're stuffed. There's nothing you can do because the rest of your roster are $2 and $1 players. Whereas if you go that more balanced, like you've done, and Josh has done that as well, a little bit.
That was an oddly specific injury for Luka there. So if Luka ends up tearing a hamstring this season, I'm getting the Mavs on the phone. I'm saying this is what happened, and I wasn't like I was there. I wasn't.
I
Part
apologize
of it. Like
in advance.
do not consider me part of this. I was not part of the witchcraft that got Luka's hamstring injured. See,
I don't want him to. I mean, I haven't drafted him anywhere, but
Dan got his guy. Dan got Mikal Bridges.
He did. He did. So where's Dan? Yes. Dan doesn't have a lot of money left now, so his maximum bid is $2. So he really is just stars.
If he gets himself a $2 guy and then sets a queue, he's out of here.
Yep, and that's probably his plan.
Respect.
So Miles Turner went for 16, which I think is pretty good. Miles Turner, I mean, he's a really good fantasy player, but I don't know, he doesn't really blow you away. I think a lot of his value obviously come from blocks, but now that we've got Jaren Jackson and we've got Wemby and we've got Chet, and with these guys that are getting 2.5 blocks a game, Turner's just lost some of his shine, but he's still a really good fantasy guy. So I think getting him there for 16 is pretty good value. Mikal Bridges for 14 is that's all right. Giddy for 11. Were you in on that? No, you weren't. So not interested in Giddy.
I think no. I honestly think what it was that a couple of dollars were thrown around pretty quickly. Like if you see, it was 2, 3, 4, 5. Like Dan was at 5, so I know that. How did Dan bid $8? I think he only has $2 left to. Oh no! Wait, hold on. I'm looking at the Mikal Bridges one. Yeah, so hold on. Let me start over. I think the bids did start going a little fast. I've been fine with Giddy for a few dollars, but not that many. So like, I mean, I'll throw a $4 bid out here for Jimmy Butler, knowing that it's not going to stay there.
Titus was hoping he'd get him for 2.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that's what I would be doing if I was him too. Like, let me just bid $2 on everybody. I'm going to get my bid in first because.
Yep, and everyone's just going to go, well, I'll get him for 3.
Yeah,
and not let Dan get him.
That's my goal now, is to never let Dan get his $2 out.
Yep. Vucevic went for $8. That feels pretty good. I know Vuce is not who he was, and he's very limited in what he does, but $8 for a potential top 50, top 60 player, that feels pretty good. There's a little bit of bidding there.
One of the Bulls beat reporters, I can't remember his name. He actually is in the Dynasty League with in Rhett's Dynasty League with me. I just can't remember his name off the top of my head. He said that he was expecting a kind of a bounce back season, or that he's buying stock in Vucevic just because with DeMar gone, he thinks that it's going to be a better fit for Vuce to be utilized a little bit more and kind of be a veteran for a younger team. So
yeah, okay, yeah, makes sense.
I mean, like, what does that mean? It's the word of a beat reporter that's around the team a little bit. It does mean it's definitely going to happen, but I don't think it's like a unrealistic thing to happen. He's a very good basketball player.
Jimmy Butler then went for 21. Butler's not someone I'm really targeting this year at all. 21. Look, per game, that's really good value, but does he play 50 games? Does he play 60? I know there's talk that he's really looking to turn things around this year and have a good year. And but yeah, I'm not interested in him. Derek White is it 16? 17. So where do I have Derek White? So I've got him in there with Jalen Johnson, Jalen Williams, which would have him in that sort of low to mid 20 range, and he goes for 17. So there's sort of a look at, well, if Derek White had been nominated as the 20th player, would he have gone for 17 or would he have gone for 23?
Right. Because, I mean, there's a couple guys that haven't been nominated. Actually, Desmond Bane was the main one I was going to highlight. but he just got nominated. Where it's like, had he gone and been nominated a lot earlier, his price might be different from what it might be now. But honestly, I think we'll see. But I think he's the best player left. I wouldn't be shocked if he went for more than what he probably should go for. But we'll see. Maybe not.
So 22 on Basketball Monster. He's at 19. Where do I have him?
Gosh, if I could bid again, I would. Wow. Okay, so my entire hypothesis was wrong. He went for less than.
He went for less. Yeah. Okay.
Wow.
19. I would have him. Yeah, probably in that. Again, mid 20s. So he probably goes for about $5 cheaper than he might have earlier. Best players on the board. Who's still available? Franz Wagner, Devin Vassell, Jamal Murray. Cam Thomas is still there. I'm surprised he hasn't been nominated yet, actually, Cam Thomas. Trey Murphy.
Dante Exum is still on the board.
Still on the board. Yeah. Yeah, that's disgraceful.
I bet if I throw him up there, Dan will throw in a $2 bid on him.
No, I wonder if Dyson Daniels will go.
Wow, Kuz just went for $5. Shoot. That was good value.
That is good value. That might be the guy. What's Kuzma? Yeah, I mean Basketball Monster only has him as a $3 player, but yeah,
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I still think that's pretty good value.
Yeah.
For Kuz, they're getting him at $5. So he's France. So he's one of those guys that is sort of best left on the board.
Right.
Where do I have? I have him in Paolo. Yeah. What did Paolo go for? 22, I think.
Yep, he did.
So I have him in that range, that $20 range. He's at 17. So if he goes here, that's probably slightly lower than what he would have gone for early. Mark Williams hasn't gone yet, has he?
He has not.
Neither is Hartenstein. So there's still a few interesting centers left on the board. Valanciunas, Jarrett Allen, Nurkic, Hartenstein, Claxton, Gobert, Gafford, Jackson Davis, Horford, Okongwu, Williams, Duran. Still a lot of centers. There's going to be some value here, I feel like, on some of these centers.
Yep. Yeah.
Tobias still there.
Yeah, I was thinking about nominating him soon because I know that. I mean, maybe not know. Maybe I'm just kind of hoping that Scott will bid him up a little bit.
Yeah.
As a Pistons fan, we'll just see how legit of a fan he is, I guess.
He's pretty legit. Who have we?
Maybe get a few extra dollars out of him for that.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's Claxton. He's one of these semi-elite centers. Claxton, $12 on Basketball Monster. You've got him for 8 at the moment. Do you actually want him for 8?
I mean, I'll do 8. Oh, okay. Yeah. I would have done 8. I would have happily done 8. But I think at this point, just with me having $16 of spending power left, I don't think I want to spend double figures on Claxton.
Yeah.
But $8, I would have been fine with that. Let's see how cheap Garland goes for.
Matty Garrett. Yeah, so Matty G, I think this might be his first auction draft, or at least one of his first ones, and he said we're only just halfway. Yep, they are long. That's why they're hard to do auction mocks, because they take – it's only because I'm on holiday that I'm doing it.
Yeah, I had no idea when I saw that comment that was – I mean, it totally makes sense that it's Matty G, Matthew Garrett. Like, that makes sense, but I've never seen Matthew Garrett fully spelled out. So I was like,
he must just be. He must
some random person's just like, wow, it's stigma. I was like, yeah, it is. But no, that's Matty G. So okay,
yeah,
That makes
And it
sense.
will speed up. So if you are doing an auction mock, it does speed up because there's a lot of bidding on certain players. But once you get beyond sort of 100 picks, there's just going to be a lot of $2 guys, $4 guys. So it does get a lot quicker. So don't look at how long the first 40 picks took and then multiply that by 4. So who was that? Garland went for 15. I like that. As I said, I think Garland could have a pretty good year this year. $11 on Basketball Monster, yeah, but I think 15 is okay for Garland. So he's Tobias. Who nominated Ronan? Oh, so your nomination is coming up in a couple.
Let's see if I do it this time. I think I'm like a 50-50 hit rate for actually nominating or just letting it go on auto because I wasn't paying attention.
Still a lot of those centers there. Alex Caruso is still sitting there as well. Zach LaVine. So I mean, we're pretty deep now. Is there a way I can actually look at how many picks have been made?
After Garland was pick 70, I think that says it that says pick 71 next to Tobias.
Oh yeah, 71. It does say down there. Okay, so we're 70. So we're about halfway.
About halfway.
Ish.
Oh gosh. This is
Tobias Harris went for 15 to Scott Keller. There you go. No surprise.
Yeah, I told you. Real Pistons fan right there. I respect it.
Yep. Yeah.
He let me get Cade, though, so I don't know.
How many? He's only got three players left, but he's still got quite a lot of money. So he must have filled out his roster with some cheap $10, $15 players.
Yeah, he hasn't really spent a lot on anybody.
No,
which I mean, that's I don't know if that's necessarily like a good or bad strategy. It just depends on how it ends up working out.
Yeah, he's really gone middle, targeted those middle players, McCollum, DeRozan, Markkanen. Markkanen's probably his best player. Well, Butler per game, but Markkanen, Jalen Williams, Vooch, Poole, Russell, Butler, Claxton, Harris. So he could basically end up bidding $15 on all 3 of his remaining players. So he's gone with a very balanced team. So he could land Duren here if he's targeting Detroit players. If he wanted to get Duren,
maybe I'll nominate him just see if he's a real fan.
Yeah, because I'd have let me bring this back up. I'd have Duren and Mark Williams is still there, and I've got them. I mean, people know that I'm probably too high on them, but I've got Mark Williams and Duren in with that Franz bucket, which would have him as a. You got Terry Rozier.
Yeah, I didn't want to, but I felt like $5 was too cheap to let Josh. That just keeps happening. I swear it's not a personal vendetta against Josh. I think he just is about to keep getting really good value. And sometimes I let it go through. Like with Kuzma, I feel like $5 is really good value. But I guess $5
just hasn't landed anyone for a while. He was sort of sitting at. He got Şengün, Banchero, Fox, Harden really early, and then he's had Randall and Kuzma, but he's still got half his roster to fill out. Whereas, you okay,
thank you.
So Rosie went for 6, Jamal Murray went for 15, Tobias for 15, Garland for 15. So a bit of a pattern forming there. Gobert sitting at 11. Is Josh going to get some? Because what did where were we? Where was Claxton? Claxton went for 10.
No.
Gobert went for 11. So who would you rather there, Gobert or Claxton?
Are you asking like who would I just rather have, or who?
Who would you rather have? Because they went for a similar price. So if you had to pick from those two, and I might do something on Twitter based on these numbers and say, okay, for $11, who would you rather, Gobert or Claxton?
Probably Gobert. I feel like just the deciding factor is simply that the Nets are going to stink, and there's a chance that Nick Claxton doesn't play after the All-Star break. Just because, partially because they stink, and partially because they have Noah Clowney, and they just want to see how good he can be. So I think the numbers will not be dramatically better by either player. So I'd rather have the more likely to be available during the fantasy playoffs kind of thing.
And I think, based on that, people have probably got Mark Williams, Jalen Duren in that bucket with Gobert. So I would assume both of those guys will go for around $10. Whereas personally, me, especially if I was building or creating a build where they had extra value, I'd be happy to pay 15 for both of them. So we'll see what they go for. Vassell goes for 21.
But Scott has the money to do that because he has two more guys and he still has $22, so he can still get two more very solid guys. So
he does. Yeah.
It might look like a lot, but I think with his money left, that's fine. That makes sense.
And it probably is, again, depending on where he goes in drafts. I think he has gone at a point here where Scott can afford to slightly overpay, but it doesn't matter because, as you said, he's still got more than enough money to get two solid players and close out his roster of very balanced skill set. Kobe White he's interesting because he was really good last year, but I think people are a little bit cautious with Zach LaVine coming back and with Josh Giddey arriving. People haven't sort of built the hype and gone, well, he was so good last year, we need to draft him this year. They're just showing a bit of caution, and he goes for $8, which I think I'd have him in that Jordan Poole range, and Poole went for 11, I think. So $8 feels okay for Kobe White.
Yeah, I feel like it's pretty good value. Maybe it's just going to end up being that Chicago actually kind of realizes that Kobe White is the best of those three, and they just make sure the ball's in his hands, and everybody's doubting the Bulls for no reason, which that doesn't seem like the most likely scenario. I think everybody that's a little bit fearful of what Chicago's going to do has good reason, but I don't know. We'll see.
Okay, so Jarrett Allen. So he's another one in that Claxton Duren range. So based on what we've seen, he'll go for about $10 or $11. He's at 12 now. He probably is, of all of those guys, he's probably the safest. Gobert as well. He's up to 14. Okay, so that's interesting.
Might be where it goes.
Yeah, okay. So he goes for 14, which I think is fine as well. So Gobert went for 11, Jarrett Allen for 14. Yeah, that's probably not too bad. I don't know. I'm not a big Allen guy. I just don't know how much better he can get. I think he's sort of peaked, especially with Evan Mobley getting better. He's Jalen Duren. Okay, so
come on, Scott, go get your guy.
He can go to. So Scott can go to 22. I don't think he'll have to if he wants him. He's not in the bidding though. He bid at 4 but hasn't bid.
Yeah.
So he's up to 12, 13. And like I said, this is where I would go to 15 on Jalen Duren. 14, 15. I think we're slowly talking people into Jalen Duren because I know the concern or the issue was his lack of blocks, but I think he can get better on the defensive end. He's still only 21.
Yeah. I think my concern on the defensive end is more of a long-term. There you go, Scott. Long-term dynasty issue than a redraft issue. I think it's like, yeah, sure. Like he's not going to get a ton of blocks. He's not going to be great in that category. But I think that the rebounds are still going to be great. Field goal percentage is going to be great. The free throw percentage was incredible down the stretch for a center. I think he was like 84% over the finals. And I think that the dynasty concern is that he's just not a great defender. So like, how large is his role long term? So I think that's the biggest concern to me, not just he's not a shot blocker. So
yeah, and we'll see. But yes, Scott did get him. So I don't know if the Menace Podman guys are going to do a pod on this, but Scott will be able to talk about his Detroit picks. That's for sure.
yeah.
John Collins goes for $5. And it's okay. I'm not that high on Collins. We know what he can be, but he isn't that guy in Utah. They're going to, I would assume they will want to get minutes for guys like Taylor Hendricks and Markkanen's still there, and hopefully Kessler. So looking at roster spots in terms of who or what people have got left to fill, Puppy Roy has 6 spots. You have 3. Scott Keller has 1 and $7. He might be about to fill his last roster spot. No, he's not. Raf has 7 with $7 remaining. So Raf is just going with $1 guys. Kyle has 6. DMAC has 10. What is DMAC fallen asleep? No, he's been bidding, so he's awake. But he's got 10 guys left. He drafted Halliburton, Trey, and Davis with, I feel like that was in the first 15 picks. He went early and hasn't landed anyone since. Dan Titus has 8. Josh Lloyd has 6. Yardship has 6. Adam Stock 6. Eric Ong 9. And Matty G 8. So certainly a lot of very varying approaches here. He goes Hartenstein. He's another one whose value could be quite different depending on team build and need, because he's not going to score, but he can get you rebounds, steals, hits his free throws at a pretty good rate. So he's at 13. So all these centers that we talked about sort of 10 minutes ago seem to be going in that $10 to $15 range, and Hartenstein goes for 13.
Wow.
He's very different to those other ones like Jared Allen, Rudy Gobert, though. He's not a typical center in that regard. He doesn't block as many shots, but he also doesn't drag your free throws down. So Nurkic, again, very different. Not a big shot blocker, but he'll get you a steal. His free throws aren't terrible. They're very inconsistent. Probably, if you look at all of those centers, he's probably, in terms of offense, he has the most versatility. He can shoot threes. So I think that adds a little bit of upside to his overall value. But he's at $7, $8. So if I just jumping back over to my other screen here and having a look at the draft tracker and looking at your team. So it's saying it's hard to compare to other teams because currently, as I said, who was it? Matty G. No, not Matty G. DMAC only has 3 players. So if you are running a draft tracker while you're doing an auction draft, the best it can do at the moment is compare your team. So it's only comparing 3 rounds worth of players, because that is all one guy has. So it's hard to compare, but it's saying that you're very good at assists, which makes sense. Look at your team. Very good at rebounds, very good at points. Your threes are okay. Steals are okay. So punting blocks, punting turnovers, and your free throws aren't great.
Sounds like I need to add some shooting, maybe. I don't have to, but I could add some because I could get threes and free throws at the same time. So
yep, you could, and maybe a steal a game as well. I mean, all your
that's a requirement to play for my team. You have to average at least 0.8 steals per game.
Yep.
So
yeah, Well, your average steals per game is 1.0, so you're bang on one. So we've had a couple of guys. So Nurkic went for $9. I think that's okay value. He is probably a tier below the Gobert, that sort of thing. But as I said, he adds some assists and threes. Cam Thomas went for 11. So Poole went for 11, and I thought Cam would go for more. So if Cam Thomas had gone earlier, potentially he would have gone for $13 or $14. I think $11 for Cam Thomas is pretty good. Where are we? Schroeder. Okay, so Keller is done.
Yeah, he got $5 still in there.
$5 left. So he may have bid on. Yeah, I probably wouldn't have bid on Schroeder if I was him, because he's finished the draft here with. I think he could have certainly got a better player for $7. He could have got Bogdan. Jabari Smith is there, Colin Sexton, Lopez, Levine, Herb Jones, Caruso, Trey Murphy, RJ Barrett. I'd have all these guys over Schroeder, Kuminga, Middleton, Suggs. There's still a lot there. So I think that's probably a little something to just keep in mind if you are new to auction drafts, is keep an eye on your money, because I wouldn't have put he may have put a $2 bid in thinking someone was going to bid $3, but that obviously wasn't the case. Dan Gafford goes for $8, which I think that's safe. I think that's pretty good value. Tyler Hero, you're bidding in there at $7. Basketball Monster has him as a $7 player, so that's about right. $9.
I don't know if I'd go past this.
No, I think that's probably okay. Yeah, $9. Yeah. Okay, so you got 2 spots left.
Two $2 guys, or 3 and a 1,
or a 3 and a 1. Yeah. No, I think Tyler Hero for $9 is okay. I'd certainly have him in that discussion with Jordan Poole, who went for 11. Like, I think he's in that range. So I think you got him for $9. So
yeah,
that's fine. Bogdan is probably in that range, maybe a little bit below. So I don't think he'll quite get there. He might go for. He's at 6 now. That feels about where he'll go, 6 or 7.
Maybe I'll actually. I'll just go ahead and say it. I'm going to nominate Dyson Daniels next and see what I can make happen.
Yeah, you have to.
I don't want to wait.
Who just nominated Raf?
Bogey for 8 is pretty good.
Yeah, Bogey for 8. Okay.
If he's going for 8 and I got Hero for 8, I'm happy. That's fine.
Yep. Yeah, and there will be value if you leave a bit of money in the bank here for once you get what are we at now? Pick 87. You're going to get guys for 6, 8, 4. Oh, here we go. Mark Williams. Okay. So I would have him in that Duran range, and Duran went for 16, I think, to Scott. I think it was 16.
It was.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where I'd have Mark Williams, but with not as much money left, let's see if someone just has their eye on him and is willing to get him up. He's at 10, which I think is, if Josh can get him for 10, that's okay. Yeah, DMAC. I mean, DMAC can go really high, but he still has 10 players. So, Josh wants him too. Yeah, I know Josh is relatively high on him. So is DMAC. And they're going back and forth. So he's basically at what Duran is. So, okay, so I was sort of right there. 15. Nice. Okay, 15. I think that's good value. DMAC finally gets his 4th player. OG. I think most of us are down a bit on OG this year. So What have they got him on here? Yeah, I mean, Basketball Monster still has Anunoby as an $18 player, but a lot of his value is tied up in one category.
Yeah.
And like for example, he's not a. Okay, so he went for 13. I think that's okay. Josh got him for 13. Josh, what's he got? 3 players left. So Scott is still the only one who's filled out his roster. Who's left on the board? Oh, Al Horford. Okay, Al Horford. So, I mean, guys we're at 90 now, so there's still we will get to the point soon where we're looking at, like, there'll be names that are a bit iffy. They may not even be nominated, but there's still a few guys there that have to be nominated. Horford for $3 is nice.
Yeah.
You might only get 2 or 3 months of good value, but that's okay for $3. Bradley Beal. So yeah, we've got Beal, Jabari Smith, Sexton will definitely be nominated. Lopez, Levine, Valanciunas, Herb Jones, Caruso, Trey Murphy, RJ Barrett, Austin Reeves, Kuminga. The Thompsons are still there. Suggs. Sohan. I like Sohan as a last round target this year. Jackson Davis, Marcus Smart.
That's good value on Beal.
Yep, Beal for 12. Where do I have Beal? Probably got him in Miller, Murphy, Ingram. Is Anthony Simons gone yet?
No, he is not.
No. Okay, so he's still got to go. I have him in that Beal range as well.
Thought about nominating him when I went with Hero, just because I was like, Tyler Hero's more likely to be playing in March. So,
yep. Jabari Smith at 11. He's an interesting one. I still feel like he hasn't figured out who he is as an NBA player. He was better last year, but Houston have just got so much depth that it's really hard for him to establish a clear role. He sort of just fills multiple roles and does what's needed, but it varies from one game to the next. So he's a hard one to gauge in fantasy as well. Austin Reeves, who was he's probably a bit of a letdown last year. He was still decent. I think he's still a pretty solid top 100 player. I know I'm about to do the hot takes tweet, so I've gone out to a whole heap of analysts to get their early hot takes, and one of them is to do with Austin Reeves. I think maybe that he'll be a top 50 player this year.
Wow.
I don't know who that was. I'm sure someone said that. So Austin Reeves goes for $7, which I think is pretty good.
I think so.
Yep. Here's Zach LaVine. Another one hard to gauge because we don't actually know if he's going to play for Chicago. I mean, at this point, I assume he is. And look, maybe he's really annoyed at the world and he decides to come out and dominate. And with no DeRozan, I do think, I mean, you mentioned that in terms of Vooch, and I think for LaVine, not having DeRozan there really helps him. And this has been it's not a feud, but for the last 2 years, it feels like there was a bit of ill feelings from like LaVine and DeRozan. They never felt like they fit together. So now that one of them is gone, Levine might feel like he's sort of won out here and could go back to being top 40, Zach Levine. Because I know, obviously, Kobe White is a lot better than he was 2 years ago, but Vooch is worse potentially, and they do have a good point guard now with Josh Giddey. So, yeah, Levine's starting to grow on me as a bit of a sleeper. Come on, Matty G. Doesn't take that long. Caruso. Little bit like his teammate Isaiah Hartenstein. If you don't need points, Caruso has a lot of value. Where are we? So you've still got your $4 left. Wow, Alex Caruso for $4. That feels good to me. Whoa. I mean, yeah, his value is also like Anunoby. It's really tied into one category there. But Basketball Monster has Caruso as a $17 player, and he went for $4. I don't think anyone would pay $17 for him, but I think I would have seen him as sort of an $8 player. So I think good value. RJ Barrett. Have you got sort of your eye on any players specifically to fill out your final two spots?
I mean, I would love to get a Kongwu, just because I think he's significantly better. But I mean, it entirely depends on how much money people are willing to put down. But I am going to go ahead and nominate our boy. Let's just see what happens here.
Okay.
But I'm a little curious about so with Caruso just going, like, what does the Thunder's lineup look like this year? They brought in Caruso, they brought in Hartenstein. Like, obviously Giddey's gone, but Dort's still there. So, like, what's the starting lineup look like? Is it SGA, Dort, Jalen Williams, Chet, Hartenstein? Is it Caruso, not Dort? Is it Caruso and Dort, no Hartenstein? Like, I'm curious.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it might be that it varies from one game to the next, depending on who they're playing.
Yeah.
Brian B watching along. Kingy and Noah, howdy boys. Howdy.
What's up,
Brian?
Oh yeah, ref. Get Mike Conley.
Conley for $1. Awesome value.
Yeah, no, I think that's fine.
Yeah, he's not a $1. He's a $5-6 player, I think, Conley. Dyson for $2. Yeah, no one was really interested. I'd take Dyson for $2, take a flyer on him. That's basically a last or second last round pick.
Yeah, I wasn't going to spend $3, but I was fine with $2.
Yeah, $2's fine. Conley, yeah, I love that Conley pick for Raf. And I mean, that's all he can do. I reckon we talk to Raf because he can only do dollar picks. I don't think he would have seen Conley as a potential target for $1. So I think he's pretty happy with that.
He's probably just nominating guys that he's like, hey, maybe nobody else will bid on this player. And that's probably, I mean, that's what your strategy kind of has to be, because you can't spend anything else. It's like, I don't care about spending anybody else's money. I can only get $1 players. So let me just try and get somebody that nobody's going to bid on so I can go home or log off.
Titus's time limit is coming up. So I don't know if he's not in the draft room, it says. So he has probably gone and just set a queue.
Nice.
I would say.
I mean, that's what you do at that point.
Yeah. So Pods went for $7. So yeah, like I'd have Conley in that range with Pods. I think Pods has more upside, but Conley, we saw last year how important he is to Minnesota, so he needs to play. Draymond Green for $2. I'm not a Green guy, but for $2, I think that feels pretty good.
Yeah. A lot of these $2 bids are looking pretty good.
Yeah, Neesmith. Neesmith. I'm not that high on him. Simons. Josh. He doesn't want you to have Simons.
It's kind of rude, but to be fair, it's fine.
Yeah. And I said I have Simons in that Beal bucket. So Beal went for 11. So
Simon should not go for 2.
No,
so
no,
fine.
he should not. No, he should go for close to 10. I think he's at 9 now. So if I had to go through and say so he goes for 9, that's pretty good value there for Josh. If I had to say who's going to go, like which player has the monetary highest monetary figure sort of remaining on the board. I mean, I think Porzingis is still there, but I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to go for his value.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe it's Trey Murphy. He's still there.
Yeah.
Kuminga, maybe. Centers, still a few centers on the board there. Still Walker Kessler, Zubats, Lively, Pirtle, Okongwu, Lopez. So Jackson Davis. So still a bit of value there. In the centers, Tyus Jones is still there. So Colin Sexton for $4. That feels pretty good to me. Sort of a less appealing version of Anthony Simons, but potentially safer. Probably doesn't quite have the assists upside of Simons, but could play 65 games where Simons might only play 50. Herb Jones for $4. Yeah, steal specialist. Walker Kessler. So last year we would have had him in that range with Claxton and Duran and Williams and that sort of thing. So he would have gone probably for $12 to $15. But this year, after what happened last year, you don't need to go that high. I'm actually surprised he's gone to $8. He goes to Puppy Roy for $8. Who's got the most money left? Or the highest? Who can make the highest bid? DMAC can make a $32 bid.
Puppy Roy can go 35. I think that's the highest.
Yeah, Puppy Roy can go 35. You can go 3. Raf 1.
Heck yeah.
Titus 2. Josh 3. So Josh has basically filled out his roster. So yeah, we'll have a look at the rosters sort of. Let me bring up as teams start to fill out. So yeah, Scott Keller obviously filled out his role a little while ago. And if we look down his team there, McCollum, DeRozan, Markkanen, Williams, Vooch, Poole, Russell, Butler, Claxton, Tobias Harris, Vassell, Duran, and Schroeder. I talked about that Schroeder pick. I think he could have got, I mean, what did he ended up with $5 left, so he had 7. So he could have got Sexton for 4, Pods for 7, Conley for 1. So he certainly could have rounded out that team a bit better. But other than that, I think he's got a really nice balanced team. He basically didn't spend more than $25 for any player, and most of them were double digit. So yeah, nice. Because I don't know, this might be his first auction draft potentially. So
he said it was, yeah.
Matty G, can I wind it back? No, I can't wind back an auction draft.
Jade Navi for $1 isn't that bad.
No, it's fine.
Oh, nice. Chris Epps for 3. What a way to finish the freaking draft, Josh. Got his last $3 out on Chris Epps.
Yep. Okay. So let's look at Josh's team now that he's done. Where's Josh? I'm pretty sure Josh is doing a show as well. So, yeah, I'm figuring a few guys might. So Josh's team. So he went balanced as well. His most expensive player was Harden, who he got for 35, Şengün for 28, Fox for 29. And then beyond, Banchero he got for 22. And then basically he just went with anyone sort of below 15. Randall, Kuzma, Gobert, Nurkic, Cam Thomas, Anunoby, Beal, Simons, and Porzingis. So again, pretty balanced team for Josh. Who else is close? Anyway, who's gone off the board? Let's have a look. Yeah, I'm not winding it back. So Kessler went for $8, Ivy for $1, which, yeah, I mean, obviously Matty G got an automatic nomination there, but Ivy for $1 is fine. He's a $1 player.
Yeah.
Valanciunas for 2 to Dan Titus, so his Q. His Q got him Valanciunas. Oh, no, it didn't. No, sorry, Valanciunas went for $3 to Puppy Roy. Bad luck, Dan Titus. Josh got, Clowney went for $2. Amen Thompson goes for $6. Here's Trey Murphy. He's up to $8. Yeah, so potentially the last of the double-digit players. 16, 17. Wow. So obviously anyone with money is viewing him as the best player available and going hard because he's at $19.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say that's pretty accurate. I'd say he's best player available.
Yeah. So out of curiosity, what did Ingram go for?
I think it was 11. I don't remember who did it, but I think it was 11.
Yeah, 11 sounded familiar to me too. I just wanted to try and double check. But so that's interesting. And that's happening in a lot of drafts where Murphy is going ahead of Ingram, despite the fact that Ingram is probably going to start and Murphy could come off the bench. Public opinion is that Murphy is the better player, obviously. Contavious Caldwell-Pope. Titus will get him for $1. I think. I don't think.
Let's go, Dan.
Yep. So he got him for $1, which is, I think that's fine. I think zero upside, but very safe floor. He's going to play a lot of minutes in Orlando. So I think Caldwell-Pope's a pretty solid top 100, 120 player this year.
Brandon Ingram went for 12. I see. Roto Kyle.
12. Okay. Lopez, $2, $3. There'll be a little bit of bidding here, I think, for Lopez. He's up to 6. So according to Basketball Monster, the best players available are Jalen Suggs, Zubats, Lively, Pirtle, Middleton, Okongwu. Lopez just went for 6. Kuminga. Chris Paul is still there. Cam Johnson, the forgotten man in Brooklyn. Taylor Hendricks. Marcus Smart. Ben Simmons. Surely someone's going to get Ben Simmons for $1, aren't they?
For $1, sure. I'm not bidding on Ben Simmons. I don't even know if I would nominate Ben Simmons at the risk that nobody would bid on Ben Simmons.
Keontae George. So Gary Trent went for $1. He's a really good $1 player. He'll play pretty big minutes for the Bucks. Keontae George, $2, $3. Bit of bidding. So we're probably at. So who has too much money left? If we wanted to look at this,
maybe Kyle. Well, no, he's just got his $20 bid left.
Kyle's just got $20, so he's going to overpay for someone.
But might as well.
He'll just nominate. I would assume where are we up to in terms of nominating? So he got Keontae for 4. So he'll just nominate. Well, unless the person he wants comes up. But so he'll get the last player that he wants, I think. I mean, D-Mac could potentially usurp him and pay more, but Yeah, so Puppy Roy's got 2 players left, $10. You've got 2 players left with $3. Raf has, oh no, sorry, you've got $4.
Heck yeah.
11. Raf has 6 players and $6. Kyle has 1 player and $20. DMAC has 8 players and $39. Titus, $7 and $8. Yardship has 4 and $26. Adam Stock has $2 and $12. Eric has 3 and $23. Matty G has 5 and $21. So, I mean, there's still a little bit of money out there. Kaminga goes for $7 to Matty G. I think that's okay for. Who are you looking at here? Because I mean, have you got anyone? Still a Kongwu is there.
I don't want to nominate a Kongwu because I feel like there's a lot of money left, and I feel like a Kongwu is not like I'm the only a Kongwu fan in fantasy basketball. So no. I feel like there's going to be people spending more than I can spend on him. So if I can delay that as long as possible, I think I will. So I have no idea what I'm about to do. Maybe I'll throw Chris Paul out there because I know people like him and I don't.
Yep.
I think I'll do that.
So Zubats went for $9, which is, I think that's okay. I mean, I'm not a Zubats guy. I just think he's so boring. I wouldn't be excited to have him on my team, but he basically has 0 competition for minutes. He's a nightly double-double with a block. Doesn't hurt your free throws. I think Mo Bamba is their backup center now, so God knows what they're going to do with him. So, yeah, Chris Paul's getting a little bit of money off the board, $7.
Yeah.
So you're not high on Chris Paul this year?
I think he's going to be fine this year. I guess I need to make up my mind if I'm going to talk about Dynasty or redraft or not, because I feel like I was throwing together Dynasty rankings for our draft guide within like a couple of days, and my mind was fully on Dynasty and I haven't gone back to redraft. So hopefully, I mean, I don't think that impacted this actual draft, but
yeah, Dynasty value, I would assume he has basically 0 value.
I mean, to me, it's like what I think he'll be fine this year. Like, I think he'll get plenty of assists playing next to Wemby. I do have a couple, I guess questions about how healthy he'll be, and like how much they'll force him to play if they're not in the play-in picture. But I still think he'll be pretty good. But it's like, would you rather have, potentially 1 year of Chris Paul or like 10 years of somebody that's kind of like, I think it's such a hard thing to compare, but because like you could take a bench. I mean, okay, Kentavious Caldwell Pope. I know it's not like a young guy, but like you could probably get more seasons out of KCP, maybe like 3 as a starter. So would you rather have that or 1 season of Chris Paul? It's entirely team dependent, and that's why making dynasty rankings is borderline impossible. So
yes, it is. Yep,
because it's entirely like subjective and.
Oh yeah,
If someone smarter than me, that's much better with functions and numbers, needs to make a way that like you can input your team, and based on what your team looks like, it shows you how to value everybody else in the league based off like how old or young your team is and like what categories you're strong in. Now that would be a great tool. How do you do that? Somebody way smarter than me. Because I don't have the time, or like I don't want to have time for that to learn how to do that to be able to even. Anyways. If there's somebody smart that's listening wants to do that, I think you would have a lot of people very interested. Yeah,
it's not me. I would be interested, but it's not me in terms of being the person to do it. So who have we had? So Chris Paul went for $7. Josh Hart went for $2. Suggs went for $12.
I think that's just kind of like that we're getting towards the end and people have money. So
Yep. It's probably more than what I thought he would have gone for. Potentially, if he'd been nominated like 3 rounds ago, he might have only gone for 8 or 7. But I like Suggs. I've been on high on him for a few years, so I'm glad that people are coming around. Jakob Poeltl goes for $7. which that's okay. He's sort of in that Brook Lopez range, and Lopez went for something similar to that, 6 or 7.
I think I might let Dan just have Asar Thompson. He needs more players.
He does, yeah. Yeah, and we're sort of, I mean, we're into the dregs now of the draft. We're up to pick 122. I think we're going to like 150. So yeah, it should be. I don't know if I can. I wonder if I can change the settings mid-draft to make quicker nomination times.
Yeah, I guess you can.
Look, so we might make the 10 seconds. Surely 10 seconds is not enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to nominate a random player if not, and like maybe drop the initial bid time as well. That way.
Yeah, maybe let's go to 15 and initial bid time to 10. Or 10 seconds to nominate.
Sure. I think doing 10 for all three would be just fine. I think it'll keep moving.
Yeah. Update limits. Yep. All right, I better just pop something in the chat. All right. I'll just.
No way he's gonna go for 3. If I
if
he went for 3 and I didn't get him because I bid 2 and then wasn't able to bid 3, I was gonna be upset.
Yeah, that would have been annoying. No, he's at 6 a Kongwu now.
That's fine. It's fine.
So we've got 3 teams filled out now, and we've got 1 player left for Puppy Roy, 2 for you, 6 for Raf, but he's just going to have to wait till others fill out till he gets his because he can't really bid. Same with Dan Titus, 6. Yardship has 3, Adam Stock 2, Eric 3, and Matty G 4. So should move through pretty quickly now. A Kongwu's still going though, $11 for a Kongwu. So there you go. You weren't getting him for 3.
Yeah.
I'm not savage, Matty G. Just make your nomination. A Kongwu goes for 11.
Jeez.
So that was similar to. So Gobert was 11, I think. Claxton. So based on that, a Kongwu is in that discussion with those centers, which. When you look at standard snake drafts and ADPs, he's not. He's going after pick 100. So that's interesting that he went for that much, and that is potentially a case of yes, there are a few people with some money to burn here.
Yep.
Eric has got a bit of money. He's got $20 and 2 players, so he can basically get who he wants. DMAC still has plenty of money, but still has 6 spots to fill out. So there'll be a couple of players here that probably go for $8, $7 that aren't really worth that much. But who is left? Shaden Sharp's there. Scoot Henderson, a couple of Blazers. Clint Capella hasn't gone yet. So Okongwu went for 11. Capella won't go for 11. Guarantee that.
Is he going to go for 1?
I think he'd go for maybe 3. So who have we had? We have sped it up a bit. So Okongwu. So DiVincenzo went for $3. Kelly Olynyk went for 1. Clay Thompson for 6. You just nominated Scoot.
Yes, I did that.
You can go to 3. Do you want him for 3?
No, this was one of those things where I, again, wasn't paying attention, and so it just auto-nominated somebody.
Oh, right, okay. I've been ending up with Scoot.
You made it down to 10.
Yeah, that's right. How dare me?
I'm saying it's a good thing because that way I'm not wasting more time by not paying attention.
Oh, yeah, good, okay. I'm intrigued by Scoot this year. I think I'm ending up with him in quite a few drafts, usually because I'm punting field goal percentage and turnovers. And I think Scoot, I don't know, Portland might just be in a position where they're like, okay, you're just free to do what you want. I think we saw some good stuff down the stretch last year. So
nice get, Ralph.
Raf gets D'Anthony Melton for another $1. He's another really good $1 player. Marcus Smart, maybe he'll go for 2. Yeah, okay. Well, okay. So DMAC obviously wants Marcus Smart for 3.
And if he wants him, he can get him. He's got the money. I think he's the only one that has them. Well,
yeah, he does. Well,
there's a couple of people that have the money.
I mean, Puppy Roy. Oh, well, yeah, he can get him for 5. Eric's the only other one. But Eric can just get who he wants as well here at this point. So Smart goes for $5. There's going to be a lot of good Twitter stuff from this, like having a look at prices and saying,
yeah,
$15, who would you rather? $2, who would you rather? $30, who would you rather? Because Marcus Smart just went for $5. Mike Conley went for $1. I think I'd rather Mike Conley.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a great experiment just to make all of us feel bad about ourselves.
Yeah, well, that's the
loser. You spent way more money than you needed to on this guy,
and that's why I didn't draft.
Oh my gosh.
Norm Powell, $2.
Wow. It's either Hendricks for 3 already. Wow.
Hendricks for 3. Yeah, Hendricks is another guy that's growing on me as a last round pick this year. So
I got to figure out somebody.
Yeah, you do. Still got 2 players left. So Puppy Roy's done. Yeah, most have got 1, 3. It's just, well, yeah. Raf and Dan, who are just, once the teams fill out, they'll go really quick because it'll just auto-nominate. I don't even know if, Raf is still here. Oh, actually, it's saying Dan is in the room. So Dan's come back.
Yeah, he's been in and out.
Check on his $1 roster. Cam Johnson goes for $4. Oh, here's Clint Capella.
Here we go. Nobody spend it.
So if Eric wants him, then he can have him because Eric can go to 14.
$3 for Capella.
So unless
$4
DMAC really wants him as well, because they're the only 2 who can go this high.
Wow. And Eric's going to finish. Oh, we're going to keep it going.
Okay.
We're going to keep it going.
Yeah, see, this is a round ago. He might have gone for $1, $2, but these 2 guys have money and they both want him. So I feel like Eric will win this.
I mean,
because it's the last
go up
guy.
to 14.
Yeah. DMAC can go to 14, but that only then leaves him $11 for the final 4 players, which at this point in the draft is probably actually not too much of an issue. But Eric does get him for 11. So,
all right, 7 of us left.
Done. It's been a long one, but I will, if we have time at the end, I'll do the draft tracker and just see.
Yeah.
Have a look at your team, but I'm pretty sure that Eric and I are both going to go on Dan Besbris's show this week to talk. Dan didn't want to come in the draft because he's afraid, I think, of auction drafts. So he said he would have Eric and I on to talk about it. Which I would say,
make fun of Dan for that. You can't make fun of Dan for that. You just sat in the show.
I know. Well, hey, yeah, that is true. I can still make fun of you.
Oh yeah, I get. Okay, you can. You definitely can.
Trace Jackson Davis goes for $3. So there you go. So obviously, DMAC really wanted a centre there because he was going hard after Capella, and he takes Jackson Davis. And look, honestly, I think Jackson Davis could be better than Capella this year. So he's potentially fallen into a nice bargain there. And then he's gone Derek Lively for $3. Oh, Noah Rubin in on the bidding at $2 for Zach.
Here we go.
No one. There you go.
Let's go.
There's some blocks for your team that's punting blocks.
There we go.
He's going to carry you to victory in week 7.
Yep.
Denny Avdia for $2. He's been an interesting one because I think he was really good last year. And I think, I don't know, we just don't know what Portland's going to do with their rotations.
We don't.
If he starts and plays 32 minutes, this is a home run here. But does he come off the bench and play 23 minutes? We just, this is what preseason we were talking. I don't know if it was the start of the show or off air that preseason is only 3 weeks away. So hopefully, when we'll get a bit of an idea of what their rotation is going to look like, what OKC's rotation is going to look like, what Chicago's rotation, New Orleans, Atlanta. There's a few teams that we're waiting on. So Avdia goes for 3, Grayson Allen for 1, Alex Sarr for 2, PJ Washington. Oh, Dan Titus. There's a sighting.
Yes, sir.
2. Oh, Matty G. He doesn't want Titus to have his man, so Matty G goes for 3. So you've got one left.
Yep.
Who do you want? Have you got a specific player?
I'm going to nominate Jeremy Grant, see if I can get him. But
okay.
I mean, there's a couple guys that I like, but there's nobody that I'm like, I'm going to spend my whole $2 on, because it really doesn't matter. It's either I'm nominating and getting somebody, or I'm the first bid and getting somebody. So it's probably somebody that really nobody else wants. So I have a spending power advantage over Raph and Adam stock.
Yep. Tyus Jones goes for $4. He's another guy that I'm liking late in drafts, Tyus Jones. Again, if you don't need
Dan
Titus.
Boo.
Is he in the room? He is. You could just, Titus gets Jeremy Grant for $2. So you've got 1 left. Raph has 5. DMAC has 1. Titus 4. Adam Stock 1, and Matty G 1. So, most are at 1 here, and then we've just got those Raph and Dan who went hard early, who are just filling out their roster. And there isn't much. Anyone here who hasn't been nominated and you're surprised? Shaden Sharp. Oh, okay. And he gets nominated, as I mentioned him.
See if I can close out my draft with him. Nope, not going to let me happen.
D-Mac.
I can't get that mad.
No. Sohan is there. Malik Monk.
Throw a couple of guys in the queue. Ooh, I like Keon Ellis. I'll go Keon Ellis for $2.
Well, Dan Titus can't outbid you here.
Yeah.
You might have.
And Matty G doesn't want to. So cool. Keon Ellis is mine.
There you go. You're done.
I got some steals. And you know what? He was a lot better offensively during Summer League and like started to fix things a little. Not fix things, but show a little bit of offense down the stretch last year. I think like just as like a 3-and-D guy, he's going to be really good this year. So I like Keon Ellis. I think he should be their starting shooting guard and just playing a 3-and-D role and get some steals, get some blocks, get some threes. No, I like that.
So we're sort of finishing up here. So do you want to take us through your team quickly? And then we'll... okay. All right. So, yeah, okay. So work through your team, whether you want to do it cost-wise or whether you want to go just working through the roster.
Let's see. Let me pull up my roster, I guess, so I can. Well, I guess it's just you have it on your screen. I can see it better on mine. So I felt like I started with KD. He was the only guy I spent over $30 on, which I guess looking back is kind of cool, kind of impressive. That I felt like I got some good players for less than $30, which I think is huge. Specifically, Dame and Sabonis, I feel like should have been probably a little bit more, but I was happy to get the value, which made me a little bit more comfortable spending a couple extra bucks to get Cade. I think he's gonna have a really good year. He's already been really good. He was really good last year, but Detroit is just so awful. So I think that they'll be a little bit more competitive. I don't know. I was writing blurbs on them, or I guess outlooks on them, and I think the additions that they made specifically with Tobias Harris, and then they added both Malik Beasley and Tim Hardaway Jr. And those are not big moves by any means, but it provides them with some shooting on the perimeter, which can give Cade some more space to operate. So I don't know. I like it. I'm not saying Detroit's going to be a playoff team, but I like it for them as just being a more competitive basketball team. And I like it for Cade because they'll have a little bit more space to, operate. So I'm expecting him to be better this year. Siakam, I don't love, but I feel like that was pretty good value. John Morant, I feel like fits the team pretty well as far as not a ton of defensive stats, but a lot of points, rebounds, assists, and tanking the turnovers. He does a really good job of that, which helps my team a lot. Drew Holiday was good value. Jaylen Brown, I feel like not great value, but totally fine adding another guy that is a lot of points, rebounds, pretty decent across the board. Rozier and Hero added some threes. Jonathan Isaac getting some late defensive numbers. Same thing with Keon Ellis and then Zach Edey. I think high field goal percentage. He'll add the blocks, but I think also the rebounds. He'll be in contention for Rookie of the Year. One of the best rookies this season. I think he should be, not long term by any means, but I think he'll be pretty good. So it's a lot of guys that I feel like I just wouldn't get in a snake draft, because it's just a lot of guys that I'm not super high on, but I feel like I got some pretty good value. So there's not a lot of players that I just don't like, but there's a lot of players I don't like at their ADP. So getting them for what I feel like is pretty cheap in comparison to some of the other prices during this draft, I feel pretty good about all my picks.
Yeah, so if I look, we're done. I'll just run through quickly the last sort of handful of players that went off as $1 players. After you took Keon Ellis, we had Jeremy Sohan, Bobby Portis, Tari Eason, Kelly Oubre, Aaron Gordon, Mitchell Robinson, Malik Monk, Jordan Clarkson, Buddy Hield, and Andre Drummond. So they were the last guys there. And if we go... if I just pull up the draft tracker, and obviously this is one set of projections, so it is what it is. So in terms of where you're good, where you're not, points good, assists good, field goal percentage good. As you said, defense was a bit of a weak point for you, which it always was from the start. Threes, sort of in the middle in threes, so you pulled back some threes there, and free throw percentage sort of in the middle. And then turnovers not great as well. So basically, what you
who cares about
towards, them? So no, it was certainly an interesting. Let's stop sharing. People can see us very quickly. So no, that was fun. I think there will be a bit of content. So I know. Well, obviously there was this show. I think Josh is doing a show. I think Eric and I are doing a show with Dan. I would say the Menace Podman guys will do a show. Who else was in here? DMAC will probably do a show. Adam Stock will probably write something up for Elite Fantasy Basketball. He usually does. And Matty G will probably do a show. It might even be that I go on his show or he gets you on or something. Or I don't know. So there'll probably be a bit of content because these auction mock drafts don't take place very often. There's probably only 2 of them. Josh might do one at some point. But no, look, thanks for jumping on the show and taking 2.5 hours of your evening.
It's always fun, Kingy.
Yeah, I'm going to go and have some lunch, I think. So let me bring up everything on the screen. I haven't had the actual screen on for so long. I've just been watching the draft board. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, no, as I said at the top of the show, please do like and subscribe and find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Follow Noah at Noah Rubin 22. I'm at Adam King 91, and we are at FBI Basketball. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in now or after the show. And until next time, catch up.
You just listened to another episode from the Fantasy Basketball International Podcast Network. Thanks for joining us. And for more information about joining our community, please check out our website at fbibasketball.com.